Hey, thanks for swinging in for a little THG. As you can tell, once again, we're having more trouble with our plumbing. So join us on today's video to find out what's happening and what we've done to troubleshoot this situation. After our last video about plumbing issues, we thought we had it all figured out and we were keeping our pipes in good shape. However, we had a backup happen again, and we know this time it's because of frozen pipes. We're very blessed in one area because the water lines coming in and bringing water to our sinks and bathtubs are working just fine. It's the drain pipes for the laundry room and kitchen that are frozen, and we're not able to drain anything from the kitchen and laundry room areas. However, we have come up with some good ways to continue to live life while this is happening. You can still use the washer if you drain the hose, for the rinse cycles and wash cycles. If you put the drainage hose into a empty container, and empty it into our bathtub. And you can do that too if you're having a similar situation, as long as your bathtub drains are still flowing. And in our case, they are. So at least we're able to continue to do laundry. Yes, it's very labor intensive, and there are a few things that you have to be aware of. Number one, most important, is that when you are using a container to drain your washer into, you have to make sure that you put your hose back up into its original thing after the draining is done. Otherwise, when you go to fill your washer, if you've left it in the other container, you will have a flood, because the drainage hose has to be up above the level of the washer, because there is no shutoff valve inside of that hose. The water is just forced out. So we figured out how to do that. We can also empty our sink by hand into a container and dump it into our bathtub as well. So at least we're able to continue to do dishes, get fresh, clean water, and to do some laundry. It's a lot more labor intensive, but the capability is there, and that's a lot less labor intensive than going to a laundry room or a laundromat, spending all that money and time and effort hauling clothes. So now back to the original trouble. We had to double check to make sure, for our own comfort, that we knew that it wasn't a clog. And we're pretty dang certain, because this happened when it got really bitter cold again. And the exact same thing happened this time as happened last time, into the same areas. So we took off the trap at the bottom of our kitchen sink and made sure that it was clear. When you do this, even if you shut your water off, make sure that you have an oversized container, much larger than what you think you'll even need, when you take off the trap underneath your sink, because you will have water spill out. And it's better to just get a great big container ready, even if you only put a little in it, because it's much better than if you are needing a big container but only have a small one. So we did that, and of course there was no clog from food and whatnot. So we're just 99.9% sure that it is frozen pipes. After we cleaned that all back up, put it all back together, I made a post on Facebook asking for any advice people might have. My son-in-law had messaged me and said that he's an electrician, and he said that when they can't run their wires, electrical wires, through their conduits or pipes or whatever they're using, they throw some de-icer in it, and it defrosts it enough that they can get their wires through. So we thought, okay, we're going to try that. So we got up and made a midnight trip to Walmart and purchased 2 gallons of de-icer, came home, and poured it in our sinks. We left it there all night long. Now, I can totally understand that this would work on a more minor freeze, but at this point, our pipe and our drainage pipe had been frozen for well over a week. And so I don't think we are dealing with a very minor little area. I think it's frozen quite a large section of the pipe. But we did try it, and I'm going to have de-icer on hand from now on, because I think that can really work for a lot of things like this. And had we caught it when this first happened, my guess is it probably would have worked. So there's a tip for you, to maybe have that on hand in your emergency supplies. Now, when we put this in there and we left it all night, I also made sure to cover the sink with a cookie sheet and a cookie cooling rack, just simply because I didn't want our cats to get in there and drink anything or play in it. So if you have kids or other animals, that might be something that you might want to think about doing. So there's a tip there. So unfortunately, our frozen pipe issue had been going on for so long, and it was such a large section that it just simply didn't work. So we were on to the next thing. We also tried running the dishwasher again on very hot water to see if that might help. Of course it didn't. It once again drained into our sink, and then we took the water and the de-icer now that was diluted, scooped it out, and dumped it down the bathtub. So now what we're needing to do is get some heat into the crawl space and on the exterior wall of our house on the inside, because that's where our pipes are. We only have a space heater, so I went into Lowe's again and we looked for one of these. Nobody has them. Everybody's out in our entire county. So I had to order one off of Amazon. In the meantime, we decided, well, let's give it a shot with our little space heater that we use for the guinea pigs. And of course, this did not work. But we were desperate to try anything. We now know why there is a hole in the foundation there, and that is just simply because people that have previously owned the house clearly were having the same issue and were trying to find a way to unfreeze the pipes. And I can see how a heat gun or something would work down there really well. But we didn't have that. So we are still now waiting currently for the industrial little heater that goes in crawl spaces to arrive from Amazon at the end of the week. The next thing we tried was I had somebody message and say that they had seen people that were laying cement with these black tarps down, keeping the ground warmed up and thawed so that they could lay cement. They asked us if we had any black tarps. I said, yes, we did. And so I went and looked, and we do have one, but I also needed to run back into Lowe's again to get another one because it wouldn't have been big enough. So I went back in, picked up a black tarp. I'll leave a link below for those of you that may be looking for it. It's very heavy duty, black on one side, silver on the other. So I cleared the area here, and we are going to put the black tarp up against this exterior wall where the pipes are running, and down onto the ground and a little bit out on the ground, so that If we can get the pipes to thaw out over the next couple of days with the black absorbing the heat and putting it into the walls there. I discovered as I was doing this, or realized, I guess, that little round thing that you see, that's where the dryer heat thing comes out. I can't think of the name of it. And so I had to make sure I left it a little bit loose there so that the heat and the steam can escape out of a little hole. So I went into our shed. I found some things to help attach the black tarp up onto the house and also onto the ground. Sorry about my photography there. It's hard to screw that in one-handed and hold the phone with the other. I do have a tripod that sometimes works for what I'm needing it, and so I can set the camera in there at other times. But some of my close-up shots I have to use just one hand. So anyway, you can see how I'm applying that up on halfway up that wall there on the outside, and then I'm laying it down on the ground. And I'm just needing to get it secured so that, when the winds blow and whatever, it'll stay. While I was doing this, I also discovered that some of our siding is absolutely falling apart. And there does not seem to be any kind of insulation in our walls whatsoever. I do know that to be up to code now, houses cannot have any kind of plumbing in laundry rooms, bathrooms, kitchens, anything like that run along exterior walls. And that's why we're having a problem, is because that is where the plumbing is for this house. These older homes, they're full of character, but they're also full of other problems. So here I am, and you can see, if you look carefully, you can see the dryer steam coming out from there. And I want to make sure that I leave that loose a little bit there. Even though this is a very temporary fix, it is going to be up there for a couple more months yet. So I don't want mold to start growing from steam getting trapped. So every day I'll have to walk out and just make sure. And there's our little Odin, our little Deanie. He's always there helping me out no matter what we're doing on the farm. There he is. So anyway, I get this black tarp secured. And stop a cat fight. They're not really fighting. Odin just gets a little excited sometimes. That's his sister. And they are both fixed. And they just get a little bit rambunctious sometimes. Okay, so now you can see the first one is pretty much up. And towards the bottom there, I do secure it a little bit, but I set heavier rocks and whatnot on it to help. And there's the opening I've left for that, where the dryer vent is. So I'm here, I am just making this edge more secure. Set the bricks on it. And that side's pretty much completed. I did decide to kind of fold that under a bit so that it wouldn't flap under windy circumstances. So that is what that one completed side looks like. And our laundry room is that window that you see behind that black tarp. Now here's the rest of the corner. And you can see here the siding is coming off. It's kind of rotting. So sooner than later, we're going to have a big deal on the outside of this house. And it's going to take quite a bit to fix it. And I see what appears to me to possibly be mold in that corner. But I can't deal with that right now. Right now, we need our pipes. That's the most imperative thing, and that's what we're working on. So here's my older tarp that I had already. And now I'm going to finish putting it up throughout the rest of that corner in the same manner that I put this one up. And that whole corner and edge under the kitchen sink and over to the laundry room and the corner of that house will be covered in this black tarp halfway down. We are doing that in hopes that this black tarp will absorb the heat and defrost the pipes. Again, my mind is wondering and pondering on the fact that had I done something like this at the beginning of the winter, if we would have never had the frozen pipe issues to begin with. Okay, so we're gonna see how this works. I believe it was very inspired by a friend and some thoughts from my daughter, and I think it'll work out. So here's to hoping. So to add just a little bit of lightheartedness to this whole situation, you know, at first, it's taken me a while to learn to really love this house and to become one with this land here. And I think I'm finally getting there, and I really am starting to fall in love with this whole little farm and house that we have. And it's been a challenge to live here because of all the challenges we've had with the house itself. But you guys, this has now become my quest. Seriously, a serious quest. This house, I will make it user-friendly and user-lovable. That's just the way it's going to be, because this is just not acceptable to keep living with all these troubles. We're going to fix it. So there you have it. This is what it looks like in the end, and we're still working on it. If you've ever had issues like this, I would love to know your ideas through the comments. Please leave them below, and I would just treasure anything, any knowledge that you would like to share with me and everybody else. Thank you again so much for watching and supporting my channel. And don't forget to come back and see the next video on how this actually plays out and how much longer we have until things get thawed and flowing freely again. And don't forget, it's always the little things that make us realize and appreciate the bigger things. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.